Hey Flying Horse Farms, this is Steph, a volunteer at camp. Today we are going to be going through how to make a bingo board, a camp-themed bingo board. You are going to be using the bingo board in a session live on Facebook, so keep a lookout for that. But for now, we're just going to work on making the board and then we'll play the game later. So the supplies you're going to need is a pencil, a piece of paper. This can be computer paper, construction paper, whatever you have. Coloring utensils. And if you have a ruler, grab your ruler, but it's optional, you don't need it. Once you have your piece of paper, we're going to start by drawing the grid. So if you have your ruler, go ahead and grab your ruler. If not, we're just gonna estimate. So our board is going to be 5 squares by 5 squares. So for you mathematicians at home, that is 25 boxes that we are going to make on our board. So if you're using a normal piece of computer paper, each box is going to be about 1.5 inches tall and 1.5 inches wide. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that as centered as I can on my board. I'm going to mark it at the very beginning of the ruler, and then I'm going to mark 1.5 inches. So at the 1.5, at the 3, right now I'm just making little dashes so I know where to draw my lines. At the 4.5, and then at the 6, so that makes 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need one more at the 7.5. So right now I just have 5 dots on my piece of paper, 1.5 inch long. So right now I'm going to draw lines off of that. So I flipped my piece of paper sideways and I'm just going to draw a line down my board using that mark as my mark. So we're using a pencil so we can erase it later. So right now I'm just lightly drawing these lines down the board. So this is going to be one of the sides of our boxes. Okay, last one. Okay, so now we have just some lines on a piece of paper. So in order to make the actual boxes, we're going to do the same thing with our paper. Hamburger way. This is hot dog, this is hamburger. We're gonna do it hamburger way. So we're gonna do the same thing and we're gonna make marks somewhere in the middle. It's not super important that it's really centered. So I'm gonna make marks at the 0, at the 1.5, the 3, the 4.5, the 6, and the 7.5. So now you can see we have the same thing going this way. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to trace those lines. You want to make sure that these lines intersect all of the lines you drew the other way. And you'll start to see that we have some boxes. Now, once we get into designing our board, everyone's board is going to look different. And that's really important that everyone's is unique, because otherwise everyone would get bingo at the exact same time and that's no fun. But right now we're just getting the setup of the board, so everyone's should look the same. Alrighty, so we have our board. You can see I've got some pencil marks off the sides. That's okay. We can either erase those, or at the end if you want to cut out just your 5 by 5 grid, that works too. Okay. Make sure your board is 5 by 5, so just a quick math check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're good to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good to go. So count your tiles. Good? Cool. Next thing we're going to do is give ourselves a free space. So in bingo, you always get the middle space as free. So I'm just going to take whatever color marker, crayon, colored pencil, paint, whatever you have, and you're going to make the very middle box a free space. This means that when you play the actual game, you automatically get that space. No matter what else is called, you have one thing taken. So count 2 boxes in from the left, 2 boxes in from the top, 1, 2, and we're gonna make it free. So I'm just gonna write free. And you can decorate it however you want. Now the fun part comes. So we now get to decorate each of these tiles with a camp-themed object. So I have a list of 30 different objects that are associated with camp. Everything from the big red barn all the way down to a flashlight. And you get to pick 24 of those to put in your boxes. They can go wherever you want, and you obviously don't have to do all 30 since you only have 24 choices, so you don't have to make all of them, but you do need to fill each of your boxes, and you can only draw each of the items once. So you can't have 2 cameras or 2 trees, because otherwise you would be cheating bingo, and that's no fun for anybody. So I'm going to show you in a couple of seconds the list of 30 items that you have to pick from. It's important that you stick to this list, but make them however you want. You can draw them in any of the boxes and design them however you want using whatever coloring supplies you have. And that list is going to come up in a couple of seconds. I would say to pause the video when that list comes up so you can keep it on your screen and take some time to draw your pictures. So that video is going to come up. That picture is going to be on your screen in 3, 2, 1, pause the video. Are you back? So I took some time and I drew my very own bingo board. So for those of you wondering, my favorite that I drew is definitely my flashlight. And I also really like my big red barn. Pretty big fan of my flowers. I'm a pretty big fan of all of them. So I hope you are too, and you really like your drawing. The next step that we're going to do is the actual game. So like I said, that's going to be in a different video. It's going to be live on Facebook. The only thing you'll need in addition to your board is something to cover the pieces. So it can be bottle caps, it can be candy, it can be pieces of paper that you cut up. It can be anything around your house that's little enough to fit in each of these boxes. It can be pen caps if that's what you have. Whatever you have, and then you will be set to play the game. So thank you for joining me today on making this bingo board, and I look forward to seeing you guys all in the bingo game.